The Vhorlan Dominion had never retreated from a battle in 800 years. Not once, not against any species, not against any weapon. Their war doctrine had a single line, carved into the hull of every flagship in their fleet. Retreat is a word for the conquered. The Dominion's 9th Legion fleet dropped out of hyperspace above a small human colony called Calder's Reach. 600 warships filled the sky in less than a minute. Calder's Reach had 2,000 residents, a handful of mining rigs, and no military presence worth mentioning. It also had one thing the Dominion wanted badly: a deep-crust mineral called threnium, rare enough to be worth a war, common enough on Calder's Reach to be worth an invasion. Overlord Vhorlan Dominion stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Unmaking, and watched the colony's weak defense grid flicker under a single test volley. "Send the tribute demand," he said. "Full extraction rights. Give them 1 hour to comply." His first officer, a lean, sharp-eyed Vhorlan named Tarn Ipsa, relayed the order without comment. Calder's Reach did not send tribute. It sent a distress call, short and plain, the kind of message a frightened colony sends when it has nothing left to lose by sending it. "This is Calder's Reach, under Dominion assault, requesting immediate assistance." Salas expected silence to answer that call. Human colonies this far out rarely had backup within a week's travel. The reply came back in under 6 minutes. "One ship, human registry, unescorted." The message attached to it was short: "We're already close, hold the line." Salas read it twice and felt nothing close to concern. "One ship," he said, "against 600. Tarn Ipsa checked the fleet's weapons status and found every battery fully charged. "Should we prepare a welcome, Overlord?" Tarn asked. Salas allowed himself a slow, satisfied breath. "Let them come," he said. "It has been 800 years since anyone was foolish enough to test us directly." Far beyond the colony's weak sensor range, a single human warship altered course and burned harder toward Calder's Reach. Its crew had no idea, not yet, how much history was about to change because of what they were about to do. Phase 1 complete. The Vhorlan Dominion had encountered humanity exactly once before. 11 years earlier, at a border skirmish near a system called Threll's Gate. It had not been a real war. It had been a probe, a single Dominion scout squadron sent to test human defenses along a contested boundary. The scouts reported back with numbers that matched every low estimate the Dominion already held about the species. Human ships were slower than Dominion vessels. Their weapons lacked penetration. Their pilots, brave but outmatched, lost every simulated exchange the scouts recorded. The Dominion filed humanity as a minor species, unworthy of a full campaign, better left for a later century when resources allowed for a proper conquest. That file had not been reviewed since. Overlord Salas had read it once, early in his command, and dismissed the species from his mind entirely. 11 years ago they could barely hold a border line, Tarn Ipsa said now, pulling the file up on the bridge display. And today they send one ship to save a mining colony. Desperation, Salas said, or arrogance, either way it ends the same. He ordered 40 ships forward as a vanguard, a number so far beyond what a single cruiser could threaten that assigning more felt, to every officer on the bridge, like an insult to the rest of the fleet. The vanguard commander, a blunt, confident officer named Kesh, requested permission to disable rather than destroy. "A human hull would make a fine trophy for the Overlord's hall," Kesh said over the comm. Salas granted it without a second thought. He did not believe, even for a moment, that a single ship could do anything except die exactly the way the Dominion's history books said it would. A junior sensor officer named Drow flagged something small in the incoming ship's engine signature and hesitated before raising it. "Overlord," Drow said, This vessel's power output does not match anything in the archive. Note it for later study, Salas said, without turning. There will be little left to study once Kesh is finished. 40 Dominion warships broke formation and turned outward, weapons hot, formation tight, 4 centuries of unbroken confidence riding behind every ship. 11 light minutes away, the lone human vessel kept coming, steady, unhurried, and utterly unbothered by the size of what was closing in around it. Phase 2 complete. The human ship's transponder identified it as the ISS Meridian. Dominion sensors classified it as a light escort cruiser, standard mass, standard shielding, nothing remarkable in the profile at all. That was the mistake every Dominion officer in that fleet would spend the rest of the day regretting. Kesh's 40 ships closed to firing range in under 10 minutes, spreading in. To the same encirclement pattern the Dominion had used to break 1,000 smaller fleets across 8 centuries of war. "Hail them," Kesh ordered. "Let them see what they're facing before it ends." A calm voice answered from the Meridian. "This is the Meridian. We're not turning around." Kesh gave the order to fire. 40 ships opened up at once, a wall of plasma fire converging on a single point in space. The Meridian did not slow, it did not explode. A shield bloomed around it, absorbing the entire volley without a single visible scar left behind. On the bridge of the unmaking, Overlord Salas leaned forward, eyes narrowing at the readout. "Confirm that shield reading," he said. It confirmed twice, then a third time because no one on that bridge believed the first 2 results. Kesh ordered a second volley, heavier, angrier. Every ship in his formation pouring everything it had into the same narrow point of space. The Meridian answered with 3 shots. 3 ships died in the time it took Kesh to draw a single breath, hull and crew gone before any distress signal could even leave their decks. 3 ships down, Kesh said, voice climbing. "Tighten the formation, do not give it a clean angle." It made no difference. The Meridian moved through the vanguard with a precision that felt less like combat and more like a lesson being delivered 1 ship at a time. By the time Kesh gave the order to disengage, 11 of his 40 ships were gone. The Meridian had not taken a single hit. Salas stood in silence, staring at the number on his display, doing arithmetic that refused to make sense no matter how many times he ran it. "Recall the vanguard," he finally said. "Bring the full fleet forward, all 600 ships." Phase 3 complete. Salas ordered a deeper scan before committing the rest of the fleet, and what came back changed the shape of everything he thought he understood about the species below him. 11 years ago, after the skirmish at Threll's Gate, humanity had done something the Dominion had never bothered to track. They had studied the encounter in obsessive detail, rebuilding every fragment of Dominion weapons data their sensors had captured, refining it into something new entirely. It was not a full 40-year buildup like the ones whispered about in older border wars. It was tighter, faster, more focused, an 11-year sprint aimed at a single specific goal. Never let a Dominion scout squadron walk away with an accurate read on human capability again. The Meridian was not the strongest ship in humanity's arsenal. It was a scout of their own, sent forward exactly so the Dominion would believe, for a few critical minutes, that it was facing nothing more than a single brave, outmatched cruiser. "There's more, Overlord," Drow said, voice quiet. "Long-range sensors are reading a mass hyperspace signature, building fast, 6 light minutes out." Salas's jaw tightened. "How is this possible?" he said, "from a species that could barely hold a border line 11 years ago?" "They didn't hold the line, Overlord," Drow said. "They studied everyone who tried to break it. For the first time in 800 years of Dominion military history, an Overlord felt something close to doubt settle into his chest, and it did not leave." Phase 4 complete. The Meridian reached Calder's reached 9 minutes after the Vanguard retreated. It opened a direct channel to the unmaking. Salas accepted it himself. A woman's face appeared on the screen, calm, steady, entirely unafraid. "This is Captain Grace Holloway, ISS Meridian," she said. "You have 1 minute to withdraw from this system." Salas almost laughed. "You command one ship, Captain." "I commanded one ship," Holloway said. "Check your rear sensors." Behind the Dominion fleet, hyperspace tore open across a wide stretch of black. Human ships poured through, wave after wave, faster than any Dominion tracking system could log them cleanly. 800 warships emerged in under 3 minutes, sleek, dark, and armed in ways the Dominion's archive had no file for at all. Salas watched the number climb and felt the floor of 800 years of certainty give out beneath him. "Defensive formation," he said, "now." The human fleet did not charge blindly. It closed in with the discipline of a species that had run this exact scenario 1,000 times in simulation before ever attempting it for real. Wing by wing, the Dominion's proud formation began folding in on itself, cut off, surrounded, and outmatched in every category that mattered. A Dominion dreadnought named the Endless Reach, one of the oldest ships in the fleet, took down 2 human cruisers before 4 smaller vessels closed in and ended it in a single coordinated strike. Salas watched it die and understood, with total clarity, that his fleet was no longer fighting to win. It was fighting to survive long enough to retreat at all. Phase 5 complete. Within 90 minutes, Dominion ship counts had fallen from 600 to under 200. Kesh's voice came over the fleet channel, ragged, stripped of every trace of the confidence he had carried into the battle. "Overlord, the left flank is gone," he said. "I have nothing left to hold it with." Salas opened a private channel to Captain Holloway, because some part of him needed an answer before the end arrived. "Finish it," he said. "We would not have shown you the same restraint." There was a pause on the other end, brief and unhurried. "I know," Holloway said. "That's exactly why we're not going to become you to beat you." Salas did not understand the words at first. Understanding arrived slower and heavier than the shock of the battle itself. "Stand down your remaining ships," Holloway said. "You have a clear corridor to retreat. We will not pursue past the system boundary." Salas stared at the screen, waiting for the trick, the trap, the final blow disguised as an offer of mercy. It never came. Admiral Reyes, commanding the human fleet from the bridge of the flagship ISS Horizon, gave the order to hold position the moment the Dominion's retreat corridor opened. "Let them go," Reyes said. "Every ship, no pursuit." A junior officer beside her hesitated. "Admiral, we could end the Dominion's fleet entirely, right now." "We could," Reyes said. "And then every species along that border would spend the next century learning to fear us instead of trusting us. That was never the mission." Salas gave the retreat order with a voice that did not sound like his own. Of the 600 warships that entered the system, 194 made it back into hyperspace. The rest were gone, and the Dominion, for the first time in 800 years, understood the shape of a battle it could not win. Phase 6 complete. As the last Dominion ships folded out of the system, Salas received one final transmission. It was short. It came from Captain Holloway, and it was not a threat. "You survived today because we chose to let you," she said. "Tell your Dominion exactly that. Tell them it was a choice, not a weakness." The channel closed before Salas could answer. He sat alone on his bridge for a long time, staring at the empty space where 400 ships had once been, and understood slowly, painfully, that the retreat corridor humanity had opened for him was not an escape. It was a message, delivered to an empire that had never once in 800 years needed to learn how to read one. Word of Calder's reach spread through the border systems within days, carried by traders, by refugees, by every species that had ever paid tribute to the Dominion out of fear alone. They did not spread the story of a fleet destroyed. They spread the story of a fleet spared, and the strange, unsettling fact that the species who spared it had never once needed to prove it could have done otherwise. A trade envoy from a species called the Asari, who had watched Dominion fleets erase two of their own colonies a century earlier, sent a single message to Earth's Joint Command within a week. We have never seen an empire choose to walk away from a total victory. We do not know what to make of a species that wins wars without needing to finish them. Earth's command did not answer that message publicly. Admiral Reyes gave a single private report to the council that had authorized the mission, and it was shorter than anyone in that room expected. The Dominion retreated in terror, she said. They believe they escaped us. What they don't understand yet is that they didn't escape anything. We let them go because a species that only knows how to survive through fear will eventually destroy itself without our help. We just gave them time to figure that out. A council member asked the question that mattered most. And if they come back stronger, ready for a real war? Reyes did not hesitate. Then we'll still be here, she said. Mercy was never weakness. It was the harder option, and we chose it on purpose. Somewhere beyond the border, in a Dominion command chamber few officers were ever permitted to enter, Overlord Saleh stood before his own war council and delivered a report that no Dominion overlord had ever been forced to give in 800 years. He did not tell them the humans were weak. He told them the truth, plain and unadorned, because the truth was the only thing left that made any sense of the day. They could have destroyed us completely, he said. They chose not to. I do not yet understand why. I suspect in time we will wish we never had to find out. No one in that chamber had an answer for him. The Dominion's ancient war doctrine had a single line, carved into the hull of every flagship in their fleet. Retreat is a word for the conquered. For the first time in 800 years, that line no longer felt true, and every officer who had survived Calder's reach understood exactly why. They had not been conquered. They had simply been shown mercy by a SB. SE's patient enough to know the difference, and confident enough not to need anyone else to see it.